I'd like to call this town meeting to order. As soon as Madam Clerk has a microphone,
Got it.
and we please have a roll call.
Councilor Danforth.
Present.
Councilor Dume.
Here.
Councilor Higgins.
Here.
Councilor Mackin. Here. Chair Medor.
Here.
Councilor McGowan.
Here.
And Councilor Pelletier.
Here. Now, would you please all rise and remove your caps and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Mr. Manager, any adjustments to the agenda?
Several.
I see that.
We had an update to order number 27 and then additions, including town manager's report and orders number 33 through 35. And just a word of appreciation to the counselors and their patience with me this week, getting those out later than usual, as I've been struggling with some illness. So thank you. Appreciate that.
It could happen to all of us. All right, I'm looking for approval of the minutes for the February 8th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Dume, second by Councilor Danforth. Any council discussion on the minutes? Down to the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, so we have a couple of special presentations tonight, and the first one is going to be from our head of the library, Diana Furukawa, and this will be the quarterly financial update, so it's all yours. Oh, no, if Louis is going to share your microphone with you, then by all means.
Just let me know if you need it.
You may have, and it's fine. I forgot to bring it back over for you.
Just pull up my slide. Yeah, so this is my quarterly update. It's going to include both some programmatic and operational updates and a financial update at the very end. But feel free to stop me along the way if you have questions or if you want me to get deeper into something. So first of all, oh, and I have a little outline of what I plan to go over. So first off, just a few operational things. Since my last presentation, we did hire a new operations manager, Andrew Crandall. He's great. He has roots in the region and had been living in Portland and able to move back to a quality job. And he's already doing a great job, really focusing on the customer experience and how do we build systems and policies and procedures to make sure that customers are having a quality experience at the library. In addition, he's focusing on safety, emergency planning, and managing our facilities and equipment, at least in the day-to-day sense, which has been huge for me just to take some of that off of my plate and be able to focus on big picture and some of the administrative tasks on my plate. So next, I just wanted to touch on some of the library use statistics. So just looking back on 2023, I won't go through each of these one by one, but I do want to highlight foot traffic. I think that's one of the biggest increases that we've seen. On the average week last year, 433 people visited the library, which is a lot, I think, for a town our size. Especially we're seeing increases, which I'm going to go into, with young people, tweens, teens, and just young people in general. So it's really great to see. There were kids laughing in the basement at a vacation camp this morning, and we had a bunch of teens there for Dungeons & Dragons this afternoon, and just all kinds of people of all ages connecting and getting access to services and all kinds of stuff. So I wanted to highlight that statistic and just let you know that our annual report, which will include more stats just like this, and probably in a more visually appealing format, is coming out soon. And I'll make sure that the council members all get a copy, that it's available for the public on our website or in person at the library. So stay tuned for that probably next month. I did want to talk a little bit more about youth library use. So like I said, We've seen all kinds of teens and tweens using the space, which is great, and also comes with some challenges, as I'm sure some of you know. So we've had to get really clear about what our policies are, how we're enforcing them, how we're communicating them, and occasionally rising to the level of disciplinary action, which isn't really something that we had formalized in the past. So I've been talking to a lot of other libraries about how are you handling this kind of thing, and educators. We're lucky to have a couple of teachers on our board and talking to school administrators. So just trying to get a sense of what's going to work. But I think it's really underscored. It's great to have an all ages public space, and there's a lot that goes into staffing that and making it safe and functional for everyone. So I've been learning a lot. I think a big piece of the increase that we're seeing is because of our new teen space. I think last time I had hinted that we were going to be turning this area, which was formerly part of our stacks, and then in this kind of weird meeting room space into a teen lounge. Got a grant funding to do that, and now it's like 90% there. We still have to hang some of the decor and stuff, but it's a lot more functional. And it's just great they have their own space. And a lot of teens helped with that. They painted, they helped us move the books down, set up the space. And I think that ownership of the space is really key for youth in this area. We do plan to have a grand opening, hopefully led by the teens, some of the ones that have been more deeply involved. And again, I think that's going to be in March or April, just depending on when they wrap up and get a date on the calendar. So I'll make sure you're all invited to that. I am going to skip over some of the building updates. I always bite off more than I can chew, unless anyone's like, I really wanted to hear about the elevator. I think I'll have more to share next time. So I am skipping over something that is in your packet and moving on to programs. I do love to always show just a few pictures of what kinds of programs are going on at the library, what's been happening this season. So a few winter programs I wanted to highlight. We did have a community conversation about accessibility, challenges that people are dealing with, not just at the library, but in the community at large, regarding accessibility. So that's one image from that. And you'll see in our plan for programs in 2024, we see a lot of value in those kind of community dialogues. And I think that's a really important role that we can play, is convening people over critical issues. So this year, we do plan to have at least 2 community conversations, if not more, one of them being on mental health, because that just keeps rising to the surface for people in our area and beyond. Other winter programs, we have some of our regular stuff like our youth art club, which has been teen-led by one of our interns. And then some outdoor programs through the Gear Library with Katahdin Area Trails. It's not been a great season for snow and that kind of stuff, but still done a few ski clinics and things like that. And then just a few more pictures. Love to share these. In terms of what programs look like this year, last time I presented to you, I shared kind of in broad strokes what our strategic plan looks like for the next 3 to 5 years. And I wanted to zoom in a little on programs. Our general goals are to make sure that the programs reflect interests in the community. So that's why we did a bunch of surveys last year. And another way that we plan to do that is by launching a program committee where community members, board members, and the library staff can all steer the direction of the programs that we offer. And as always, if someone has a program idea, we want to make it as easy as possible for them to make it a reality if they're willing to kind of take the lead on it. One last piece of our general program goals is that we are doing a marketing planning process this year. We're really lucky to have Jess Massey from Design Lab on our board. She's going to be helping with that, because we really want to understand where are people getting their information, how can we reach the target audiences that we want to reach, and see more participation. So I think that's going to be a really important step for program success. Zooming in on some of the program areas that we hope to dive into this year, we have our youth programs. We want to deepen participation in our summer reading program, hopefully with about 60 participants, which is close to what we've had, just getting more engagement. Measuring success with programs. of interest in getting your hands dirty and learning something tangible. And place-based programs, like we did a geology talk a couple weeks ago with Don Pudney that had over 20 participants on like a random Wednesday afternoon. So there's clearly a lot of interest in that, and in like the local heritage and history and about the land. The last area of programs I want to touch on is what I'm calling resource and technology programs. So the community conversations, as I mentioned, 8 preventative programs like working with Penquist to get people signed up for LIHEAP, or doing a presentation with USDA on weatherization and grants that are available to people for that. Workshops on avoiding scams. Questions that come up a lot that we feel we can preventatively create a program to help people with that. And we are interested, in addition to our computer classes, to piloting a one-on-one technology help service by appointment. You know, there have to be some limitations, some clear parameters around that, or people are going to just have us doing that 100% of the time. But there's quite a need for that, for more specialized, personalized tech help. So that's something we're going to be exploring. And I just think on the whole with the program plan, this represents a shift in the way that we're working from being reactive to, okay, what's going to fall into our lap? We'll just do it, because why not? We'll throw stuff at the wall, which is an important stage in development. But I think now we're trying to be more proactive about, well, what's our strategy say? What is the community saying? What makes sense to put our energy towards? And so that's why I'm excited to share these goals with you. Moving on, just one more thing, talking about resource-based programs. Our resource navigation program, I just wanted to remind you all, as I shared last year a couple of times, that we will be phasing out the direct financial assistance piece of our resource navigation program as planned at the end of the heating season. So it's just something that our board has been pretty firm about, feeling that it was outside of the scope of what we can do and what our mission is, and that there are agencies that are better, they're just a better agency to take on that task. We are committed to helping find a solution to this on a more systemic level, and putting in our time and organizing efforts around this, doing the preventative programs, and then continuing the navigation service. That's more in alignment with reference customer service that we already are committed to providing. All right, I'm going to move on to finances, and unless there's any questions about resources, programs, or
Any questions about anything that she's shown so far?
great.
Please go right on.
So for financial updates, just a reminder, we are on the January through December fiscal year, unlike the town. So we have wrapped up the 2023 fiscal year and are in the process of working on our 990, basically like our tax return as a nonprofit. And we do an independent financial compilation. All materials have been submitted, and we are expecting to have those ready for sharing with the public and with the town council probably in late March, early April. So those and all of the past ones are available online on our website, and I believe through the IRS, but I'll make sure those are shared just for accountability and transparency. And I am also excited to share, in terms of finances, we have 2 new board members that bring a lot of added financial experience. We have Bob Adams, many of you might know as a CPA. He is now our treasurer, and Veronica Torres, who has a lot of experience with the government and managing financial matters and grants and things like that. So they're both quite an asset to the board, and are going to help us improve our financial policies and procedures and our investment strategy and policies associated with that. So it's exciting. They've already helped us just clean up our financial books quite a lot and make them simpler and easier to understand. So diving into the budget, we're only a month into our fiscal year, so not super telling so far, but I did want you to get a chance in this right column to see what our operating budget ended up as. It's very similar to what I presented back in the fall. But on the income side of things, for donations, you'll see this is just a little bit of carryover from our 2023 annual fundraising appeal. Some of them come in at the start of the year instead. We did receive our one of 2 payments we expect from the Friends of the Library in January. For grants, this is a little unusual, but last year we received, I believe, $93,000 of employee retention credits which is a one-time program available through the federal government. And we determined that we were actually overpaid. And so got in touch with the IRS, we're able to reverse that overpayment, and that's what you're seeing here. We just didn't want it to come up at a later point in an audit and wanted to address that. So that's why there's negative here. A new income category, as I probably shared in the fall, is interest. So we do earn about $10,000 of interest per year through our new markets tax credit process, and that's now reflected in the operating budget for income, as well as some expenses associated with that. So you'll be seeing that here. For earned revenue, we have a couple new areas of earned revenue. We're planning to do some consulting work through the Katahdin Collaborative and other groups who are interested in community organizing and collaboration and things like that. We have our EV chargers, which, we had probably 8 or 9 charges in December, 0 in January. I think this will be a year of learning what kind of revenue to expect from that. And we're planning to launch retail sales in the spring. So that brings our income to about $4,000 so far, but don't worry. For expenses, nothing too unusual here with our collection, books, DVDs, things like that. And then community engagement, this is like program supplies and snacks, marketing, pretty minimal so far. Moving on to our facilities. I think all of this is pretty standard or minimal so far, since we're only a month in the year. But I did want to point out that we are starting to receive small monthly discounts by participating in community solar on our electricity bill. So not a huge amount, but every little bit counts. And it's definitely a part of our strategy to try to be more environmentally sustainable in every way that we can. Moving on to administration. So like I mentioned, there are going to be some expenses that are associated with that new markets tax credit process. It's only until 2026. So that's what this asset management fee of $32,000 is. That is the only expense that will be reflected in our operating budget for this year. So that's what you're seeing here. And then for professional development, I just wanted to point out, this looks like we're over budget, but we are using the Alfond Foundation to get reimbursed for 50% of those expenses. And I know the new markets thing is confusing, and if anyone wants me to do a deep dive into that with them at another point, I would be happy to. Lastly, on the payroll side and just looking at the whole picture, things are pretty much as budgeted so far. You will see net negative income so far this year because of that one-time rent/asset management fee and the employee retention credit overpayment reversal. And as a whole, I just wanted to point out, see net negative income for the operating budget. And that's because we're using $20,000 donation that we received last year to balance that budget, but it's not officially going to show up in this way. So that is how the budget is doing so far. I'm happy to go back to any piece of the presentation if there are questions.
Any questions from the council on the presentation so far? Anything on the budget? No? No, by all means.
Thank you, Diana, for your presentation. Very informative, and it also it's very comforting knowing that the investments that the town has made contract, which was presented, is proving how made good investment in the MML library. Understanding that you're doing 4-season programs, you're gearing up to serve really all ages of the community, and I think that's a great thing. You have biking, skiing, and you're not just a brick and mortar book place. So that's a good thing. Kind of describing to us, and as we discussed in your rebrand, as you kind of said it, as a true community center. So I do appreciate that, and that the town made a wise.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Certainly, go ahead.
It was interesting to hear about the expected consulting offerings. Can you talk a little more about that and what that looks like or is expected to look like?
Yeah, and it's a pretty small part of our budget, I think $8,000 or so. We've just found that with several funders, grantors that we've worked with, or other groups like the Katahdin Collaborative, they may be willing to, pay us a fee for doing really like facilitation. To redo the Katahdin Collaboratives, a piece of their website and their Google Drive and organize it, create a system that made sense for them. And they were willing to pay us for that expertise. So we're just trying to see, are there areas where something that we're already good at, that we know how to do, that we can contract out as earned income.
That sounds excellent. I mean, I know you're well qualified as a fellow ICL grad, to, to do many of those things. And with my experience working with you over the last few years, I'm sure that'll program will be really well. So I'm glad to hear you're offering it. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're just trying to experiment with, well, we're a nonprofit, but we're also a business. So in what areas can we earn revenue even as a nonprofit?
Anybody else on the council? Let's go down to the public. We have any questions from the public for our library director? Seeing none? Diana? Oh, will you? Okay. Anybody on Zoom? Again, seeing no one. Diana, thank you again, once again, for a very informative presentation. I echo the comments made by Councilor Demay that this library has grown considerably and exponentially since it was redesigned, and I can't think of what it would be like now for the community not to have it. And the programs that are involved that you constantly are expanding for all ages. Again, we are very fortunate to have you, have the library, have the staff that you have the commitment. Because those things all add up to an absolute, jewel in the crown of the town of Millinocket. So congratulations. And I look forward to the annual report. Be kind, be gentle. But certainly I look forward to the annual report coming forth, and thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you.
All set? All righty.
I spoke with Mandy from Oliver and Associates in the hallway during Diana's presentation. We're going to have to reschedule that.
Okay.
We'll expect to invite her back for the 14th.
All right. Thank you. All right, so that moves us on to new business. And let's do a deep dive into the manager's report.
Shall we? What was that? So I'm going to start this off with a little blurb from the treasurer's office. As everyone knows, we have a fresh face in the office. Beverly McLeod has joined us as our new treasurer at the end of November. She's certainly had substantial impact on the team and the office. We very much appreciate working with her. She has upwards of 30 years, 27 plus years of experience. And, the town where she earned that experience is set up a little differently than our town, select board versus council and some of the different
Different operating system.
different, insurance coverages and unemployment plans and things. So she has the knowledge to work through it, and she spent a lot of time December and January doing year end and and W-2s, all the 1095C forms and that sort of thing. And then jumping into our sewer lien process as well. So she's, she's doing remarkably well in my opinion. Navigating the learning curve of those things while executing the work at the same time. I'm just really, really happy to have her on the team and doing that. She's filling some very big shoes. In the assessing office, I'm just going to point out that Lorna mentioned in this update that she's been obviously she reviews sales data to figure out valuations and things to go along with that sort of work. And she included a table in here of recent sales of properties throughout different neighborhoods in town. And, houses that had sold just several years ago and then resold in the past year. And you can see, from the data on that page that, these values are increasing substantially in our area. Some of them from 20,000 to 85,000. There's one here, it sold in 2017 for 99,000, and now it's the most recent sale just in November was 225,000. Pretty incredible rise in property values here in town. So we will be very happy to complete the town revaluation over the next year. So some of these numbers can begin to make actual sense. So we can have the real valuations and adjust the real mill rate so that it all works out evenly and is far more attractive and understandable to the common community member on why our mill rate is so high currently. So, a lot of that will come out over the next year, but I thought that was a great example of property values. From the office of Mr. Tom Malcolm in code enforcement and public health and safety, he's been working with the fire marshal's office on reviewing the plans for the Katahdin Inn and Suites renovations. Hoping to see those move forward with the new owners. They've been working really well with our code and assessing office throughout that process, and obviously the fire marshal's office as well. He did receive, as Mike and I have also seen, the updated short-term rental ordinance proposal from the town's attorney. I saw just this afternoon that he was able to get a response back to the attorney with some recommendations on 2 or 3 minor things to bulk up in it and make a little stronger. So we appreciate him for reviewing that as somebody working in the code office who will be involved for, at least a couple more years, I hope. And you look at his eyebrows raised. And but the reality is that the short-term rental ordinance a lion's share of that work will be done by the code enforcement officer and the public health and safety officer. So there will be a bulk of that in the beginning, and then it'll lessen as time goes by. However, a majority will be done by that office, and it's good to have somebody with that experience review it and provide their feedback. So I believe once Mr. Bopane has made those adjustments, he will hand it back to Mr. Madore here, and it'll come back to the council. Moving on, the airport is doing quite well. We're very proud of the operations over there. I've had several discussions with people very well plugged into the aviation community recently, which I am admittedly not knowledgeable of, but I understand Jeff's a bigger deal in that community than we really even understand. So, I like seeing that it's performing well out there, and that we finally have the final draft of our master plan that's been several years in the making. I believe that it was originally due a year ago. So we're relieved to see that work is finished. Hoyle Tanner worked excessively on that project, and we have an order later this evening to get approval for me to sign off on it. So we'll take the our challenging effort with the install of our EV chargers is almost to an end. All of the work on our side and on the electrician's side has been completed. We are quite literally just waiting for Versant to show up and connect the pole that we had installed to the pole, a pole with power on it. So once that's finalized, we plug everything in and fill the holes, and we should be good to go. We also have made some more progress on the Brownfields program recently. I was able to make some introductions to local property owners with our environmental team, along with Amber. They're now going into Mr. Benjamin's building next door, the former Fleet Bank and whatever else it had been over the years. So the bank building, the storage facility on Aroostook next to the fire station, the building across the street that Northern Forest Center is working on renovating. We understand there's a possibility of an underground tank that will need to be excavated and remediated or whatever they need to do there. So and then of course the former K&M building, this team is heavy on the case, and we are just eagerly feeding them places to assess, and which we can later go for the cleanup funding on to help move those along. We also, Amber has submitted a letter of intent to the Community Development Block Grant Community Enterprise Funds Program for $100,000, which would be a program to provide grants to local businesses in an effort to improve their facade or some project of that nature. That'll have the funding has not been applied, but we did make it to the next stage to submit the actual application for funding. We understand that there were very few applications submitted to the program, so we do feel pretty good about it. We hope to see that come to fruition so we can help some of the businesses out with those things. I know some of them may not be able to do those on their own, but certainly have interest in sprucing up the place. Yeah. So lastly, in the Community Initiatives Department, we've been in discussions with Charlie Hewitt, the artist that created the hopeful sign that has been popping up throughout the state. It really is an incredible story of why and how and where. We hope to invite him to speak with the council in the near future. Several of us had the opportunity to meet him this afternoon. We even all climbed up on the roof together and it was quite an experience. This is something that, is marveled at in communities that have been in a longstanding stage of resurgence and rebuild. It really has a way to inspire hopefulness, which is, a verb, not a noun. It's being able to do something about it. And, with all of the great momentum that has been picking up here, and starting to snowball, it's perfectly fitting for our community. And, I hope we can see it come to fruition. The total project cost is about $60,000. They assist with the fundraising, they assist with grant writing, they, work very closely with Amber throughout this process and work with philanthropists to fund the project, and we agree to install it in our community with that message of hopefulness and resurgence of community, which is so important to so many of us here that do this work day in and day out. Very much looking forward to that coming to fruition. You can see some renderings of what that sign may look like on our building. And I hope you enjoy it. Next is the fire and ambulance. Chief Cody's been doing great with virtual planning meetings around emergency planning for the eclipse operations. Doing some after active shooter trainings at Medway and Millinocket schools. He recently met with the library staff about life and safety classes for the community, which could be just another great offering from the Millinocket Memorial Library. The new portable radios that were funded with our ARPA monies have been delivered and programmed and been in use for several weeks now, I think it's safe to say. They're a big hit and a huge have had a huge impact on the operation of the team. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. It's feeding me. I'm gonna go even longer. Wi-Fi's been installed. We heard about that a few meetings back in the ambulances and the chief's truck, I believe, as well. So that's going well. They'll have better and clearer communication access as they're out saving lives. And he has an upcoming hazmat operations class for Millinocket Fire, our mutual aid communities, and the Millinocket Regional Hospital towards the end of March. There's plenty of other context in that report. I hope you all will do a deep dive. I expect to have all of my manager's reports available on the town manager's tab on our website here very soon. We're going to be bulking up the presence of that page. I think it'll be maybe a lot easier than going through old agendas and things. So yeah, I'll take any questions, comments, sarcastic remarks.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Higgins.
Yes, Mr. Manager, on a couple of those questions that I asked a couple meetings back did you get an answer back from the airport on the aircraft operations and the numbers with?
Yes, the skydiving operations and those, every takeoff and every landing count as an operation.
Okay.
So some you get a landing and a takeoff, and some you only get a takeoff, or some you only get a landing, so,
Well, thank you very much.
yeah.
Then the GARD system, is that the same system that the FAA uses to determine the operations?
You want to talk about that for a bit?
'Cause I know we
We'll
had,
invite the subject matter expert too,
because I know that there was that conflict, well.
of the data being erroneous
Right.
or not.
So we're
Yeah.
using it here.
I'm sure Jeff will tell us all about it.
Jeff Campbell, Airport Manager. The GUARD system, General Aviation Recording Device, is a device that the state of Maine DOT bought every general aviation airport in Maine, these devices to keep track of traffic. These numbers that I give you are recorded operations at the airport. We did have a problem a year or so ago with that machine. It seems to be operating correctly now. And those numbers of operations that you see that I report every month, those numbers are what our funding is based on. So the higher our numbers, the more funding we have available to us. That's what those mean.
Is that the same numbers is that the same system that the FAA determines the numbers with?
No, yes, that's what they're determining the numbers with.
Thank
Yep.
you.
The old way of determining the numbers was a best guess. And now they're getting mostly accurate numbers. If that's fair.
Thank you.
The issue that we had with the guard system numbers and the FAA was when they were determining what they were recommending for the size of our runway, base numbers, which included the
So,
Thank you.
all right. And when they estimated their numbers before, the leaders that were before us, not necessarily our airport or our town, but all over the state and all over the country, they kept inflating their numbers every year, fictitious numbers to drive the funding up. And now that they're getting real numbers, they feel necessary to cut a bunch of funding back. And it's not true. We're doing the same as we always did, if not more. So those numbers were fictitious before. They had us down at 8,500 operations a year, and we've never done 8,500 operations a year. It's more like 3,500.
That's all those numbers.
Okay, we all set? Okay, any other council comment on the manager's report? Oh, going down to the public? Oh,
I would just like to inform of absentee ballots available for the March 5th presidential primary until Thursday, February 29th. The public coming in has been very slow, and I just want to make sure that the public was aware of absentee voting has been available. And
And you
the
are
last
who?
day, I'm sorry,
and you are who?
town clerk, I'm sorry.
Mr. Levitt, name and address?
Scott Levitt, 330 Congress Street, Millinocket, Maine. I was just looking at the sales. I was just wondering about the sales. If these are out of towners that's got the money, I'm concerned about the budget coming out. And if we're looking at, I believe there's at least 85% of the town could not afford this. I know I can't. But I'm just saying, if we're looking at the budget coming up with these sales, I don't know if she just put the top where she listed it and left the lowest ones out, whatever, but I'm just concerned that you're looking at 227,000, that your property's probably only worth 90,000, but we got out of towns because, like I said, my daughter's gone through trying to find a house. And they've started at 80,000 and somehow they've got it up to 200,000 paying for a land that's not even worth that. But you know how the market goes. I'm just concerned that hopefully the council can balance this out and make sure we're not going high. Because like I said, the last 2 times the tax has been going up or the real estate's been going up. My house went up, I don't think it's worth that much because it's lower than what it's valued at, but I probably could sell it at 200,000. But it's only listed at 70,000. So I'm just concerned when you could get to the budget that you seriously don't take all these numbers in account, that you can take the property value, somehow work around it. That's all I'm concerned.
You want to take this first?
Bruce, or Scott, I'm sorry, I would love to have a longer discussion about that with you sometime. But for now, I will just point out that those are three completely unrelated topics. And I'm more than happy to explain the bigger picture of how those things kind of intertwine a little bit. Or talk about them individually, but just for the sake of everybody understanding, but those are all topics that really have nothing to do with each other. Sure. Yeah, anytime.
Anybody else from the public? Oh, coming back, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Pelletier.
Just a point on revaluation. Once the revaluation is done next year, citizens who really feel that their properties are overvalued on assessment have the right to get market value, get an appraisal from a local real estate agent, and that would be their evidence to get an assessment review, the assessor. And if your place is in disrepair and doesn't come up to, what your tax bill says, then an adjustment will be made. So, it's not you're stuck with that number forever. It will cost you the cost of an appraisal, but there is a way to get it addressed.
Thank you, Councilor. For myself, I just want to point out a couple of things here, or mention a couple of things. The proposed short-term rental ordinance that is being in review right now by the town's attorney. Peter's right, the manager's right. He and I have met with the town's attorney. I have turned over to him some paperwork for the short-term rental that was done in committee, having to do with fines and fees that were decided upon by the committee and brought to the attorney's attention so he can start to include those. I'm glad that he has gotten it over to our code enforcement officer to look at for approval. But the timeline seems to be that the attorney will get it to us sometime in March or April, and then we're looking at being able to go through the public meetings and be able to enact through the council no later than July. So hoping July 1st, we can get this all behind us and get this ordinance taken care of. As far as the community initiatives, it's been very interesting. The couple of things I was going to point out is the street pole banners. The initial designs are ready, and they are very attractive, and I think much larger than what we've had before on the poles, and they depict our seasons and our activities here, and I think you're going to like them when you see them. I just got a glimpse of them today. The meeting with Charlie Hewitt today was an incredible meeting. He is a delight. He is an artist. He is a contractor. He appears to be a jack of all trades type of person, but what he is very passionate about living in the state of Maine and what we have to offer. And he's very passionate about small communities like ours and how we can go ahead and use a sign like Hopeful to the message, the meaning of the sign will be different depending upon how you interpret it, but I don't think you could interpret it in a negative manner. And I also want to point out, as the manager has already stated, that all the funding for this sign will be raised by grants, donations, and that this is a sign that is not going to cost the community or tax dollars to do so. And hopefully, knock on wood, we can get that part taken care of relatively quickly. Fundraisers are fundraisers, but I think I certainly am going to eventually look forward to having that sign on top of this building, looking out, beaming out to, all the people coming down Main Street, down Central. And yes, down, glowing down, not beaming out. It's it's LED lights, but they do not project out, they project down. So that you can see it, but it doesn't take away from the dark sky. So, yes, and it won't bother, hopefully, anybody's, second floor apartment, bedroom to have a nightlight. I'm very happy with all the progress that Chief Cody has done with the fire department. I especially like the idea that the base radio that you're going to be getting, so that you can have contact with, Penobscot EMA, I think is excellent. I think that's a great step moving forward, and, I congratulate you on that as well. And I take, basically, the rendering of the picture that is inside the manager's report on this, that shows you the hopeful sign and how it's going to look, hopefully on the top of the building. I think it is excellent. And with that, I will say thank
I
you,
do have
everybody,
colored
and let's
versions
move
of
on.
those pictures as well. And I want to point out, just because I spoke longer this evening than I have been, didn't mean that y'all had to spoke that long.
Yes, you're very welcome. You,
guys
and,
go over
and,
there.
yeah, and you, it was worse when I was one of you. So, moving on. Counselor Danforth, could you please read order 26-2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, order number 26-2024, providing for execution of the town warrant for February 22nd, 2024. It is ordered that the town warrant for February 22nd, 2024, in the amount of $85,259.19 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Danforth, by Counselor Pelletier.
Maine Pyrotechnics, that's going to be, that's partial payment for our July, for our fireworks in July. $5,062.73, Freightliner of Maine. And I know that had to do with servicing one of our vehicles. I think it was Public Works. Yeah. $4,841.04, Maine Municipal Association. $39,459.02, Maine Water Company. Those are rental fees for our fire hydrants. $4,739.74, Municipal Waste Solutions. That's our waste disposal fees. $2,497.59, Preble Oil Company. That would be heating oil. Another one, let's see, $12,582.04, Versant Power.
Thank you. Any council comment on the order? Seeing none, down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? Oh, certainly. I'm sorry.
Speaker.
Stevie and
Mahar.
are the environmental consultants for our brownfields program. Yes, it does.
It's more or less.
It's still a check that we have to cut though. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, again, seeing none from the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Counselor Pelletier, can I please get you to read order number 27-2024?
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Pelletier, second by Counselor Danforth. Counselor Pelletier, anything there?
$3,594.68 Maine Water Company, and $13,067.96 is Versant Power. I think they're self-explanatory.
I think so. course, that's before Council Demay gets at it. Any council comment on the order? Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Council McGowan, can I please have you read order 28-2024?
Order number 28-2024, providing for approval of appointments to the planning board. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the appointment of blank and blank to the planning board for a 5-year term to expire March 2029. The following applications on file: Richard Angotti, 222 Katahdin Avenue, Millinocket; Jonathan Cody, 269 Alder Street, Millinocket; Michael Wallace, 2 Fern Street, Millinocket. Note, Anthony Filaro and Charles Sarami, appointments to expire March 2024 and will not be seeking reappointments, having submitted their intent for resignation for reappointment.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McGowan, second by Councilor Danforth. I see we have a couple of the people who are here. Would you like to speak on your behalf to the council about the appointment? No? Okay, very good. All right. Any council comment on the order? Councilor Demay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question. So with the note of Anthony Filaro and James Sarami appointments expiring and Michael Wallace is on the reserve, so what,
He's an alternate.
would that make an alternate position as well?
It would create an alternate position, yes.
Could that be part of the same order? If
It could
amended?
be amended to be part of it. Yes,
Do,
Mr.
my next question.
Oh, no, hold on just one second.
If
please.
I may speak, as far as I am aware, person seeking a seat, they are considered separate seats, so that would make his seat available, and I would put that out for nomination. They would apply with another application seeking alternate seat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, certainly, Councilor Demay, continue.
Has any of the, and I've read through each one of them, has any of the applicants considered the alternate position as well?
Hasn't been advertised. yet,
They
you
haven't had
said.
to be, and because they were seeking the permanent position, so.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any communication. I mean,
No, I don't believe so.
Well, and those other 2 seats will have people in them until next month.
I can further on that if you would like with the communications. So the planning board with Tony Filaro has allowed me to take the communication email, and nobody has shared interest with the alternate seats other than Mr. Wallace. Look into their seat. So they are aware once that it would have to be. Gosh.
and I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, just sometimes it affects the decision of somebody else. Also, if somebody's already on this page once, hey, I didn't make it this time, I'd still like to be reserved or whatever.
And also, if I may add, in Richard Angotti, he was expressing aware that he would have to get on the current board that, and if he is chosen. So.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you, just Councilor Attorney. Yeah, all right, anybody else, any questions? Councilor Danforth.
I'm not sure. I don't have a question. I guess I have a statement, and I know Mike is here to speak on his behalf, but I know he's been a very active alternate on the planning board, any meetings that I've gone to. So I'm very much in favor in him being in part of the order and receiving one of the seats.
Councilor Pelletier?
Just curious, what's the process here?
That's
I would look for a counselor to, we can go down.
Yeah.
Counselor, yes, Madam Clerk.
Since the order was read and seconded, then I would just ask for to amend it. Could have read it with the two nominees that you wanted to see in there, and then it could have been discussed, but since it was seconded, just an amendment is fine with reading the two nominations.
Okay, so looking for an amendment to the order?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll speak up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
well, I am, but nobody looks over
Yes,
this.
I'm looking right
Because I
at
don't
you.
talk all the time like the men do. But-
Counselor McGowan, please.
So, that was my mistake, because I was under the understanding that I could not read the names, or I would have done that in the first place. So that was a misunderstanding. So do we have to rescind the other motion, or can I just make a new amendment to the motion?
Yes, amendment.
Okay, so I make an amendment to the motion. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the appointments of Jonathan Cody and Michael Wallace to the planning board for a 5-year term to expire March 2029.
Second that amendment.
Motion, the amendment is made by Counselor McGowan, seconded by Counselor Pelletier. Council discussion on the amendment. Seeing none. And the public? Back to the council. I guess since there has been no discussion, we can go right to the vote then. On the order as amended. On the amendment. Providing for the approval of the planning board, it is ordered that the town of Millinocket Town Council approves the appointments of Mike Wallace and Jonathan Cody for the planning board for a 5-year term to expire March of 2029. All those in favor? And it's unanimous. Now, on the order, order 28/2029, all those in favor? We have to do the amendment first and then the order. So the order, all those in favor of order as amended, 2028, 2024. All in favor? Okay, you got me tongue tied there. It's unanimous. Mike, John, congratulations. And I assume that now, Madam Clerk, that we would be putting out to advertise for the alternate seat, if anybody is interested to apply for it. Thank you very much. Counselor Demay, would you please read order number 29/2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Order number 29/2024, providing for date, time, place, warden for the March 5th, 2024 presidential primary. It is ordered that the presidential primary will be held on Tuesday, 5th, 2024.
Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Counselor Higgins, can I please have you read order 30/2024, I assume? I got 2023 on here, but 2024.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Order number 30, 2024. Providing for processing absentee ballots for the March 5th, 2024 presidential primary, whereas Title 21-A MRSA Section 759.7 allows the election warden to process absentee ballots while the polls are open, and whereas processing such ballots will assist the election clerks, and the result in an expedited process after the polls are closed, and whereas expediting the process after the polls are closed will result in some savings to the town of Millinocket. Now therefore it is ordered that the election warden is authorized to process absentee ballots at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m. during the March 5th, 2024 presidential primary.
Motion made by Counselor Higgins, second by Counselor Demay. Any council discussion on the order? Public? Back to the council. All in favor? It's unanimous. Counselor Mackin, welcome back, by the way. Could you please read order number 31/2024?
Order number 31-2024, providing for office hours of the registrar. Whereas Title 21-A MRSA Section 122 6 specifies the process that the registrar must follow in registering voters. And whereas the town council also serves as registrar, the town clerk, I'm sorry. And whereas the town clerk has regular hours on 4 business days before election day to register voters, and whereas being open evening hours as required by law to receive voter registration will be added cost to the municipality. Now therefore, it is ordered that it is not necessary that the registrar be open to accept voter registration for 2 hours in the evening between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. on at least 3 days before election day.
Right. Motion made by Councilor Mackin, second by Councilor Dumeay. Any council discussion on the order? Councilor Dumeay.
I'm proud to support Councilor Mackin on her order, and I fully suggest that the rest of the council does as well.
Very good. Any other council discussion? Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All righty. Council McGlaughlin, could you please read order 32-2024?
Order number 32-2024, providing for approval of certain parking closures for April eclipse event. Whereas the solar eclipse event is scheduled to take place on Monday, April 8th, 2024, and whereas Outer Reach Broadband requests the closure of the Veterans Memorial Park and bandstand parking as necessary for the safety for all vendors, pedestrians, and solar eclipse event activity participation, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the closure of Veterans Memorial Park and the bandstand parking lot on Friday, April 5th, 2024, starting at 7 a.m. and ending Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 7 a.m.
Motion made by Councilor McGlaughlin, seconded by Councilor Higgins. Any council discussion on the order? Councilor Pelletier.
Oh, I'm just curious as to why Outer Reach would have requested this.
Mr. Manager, I'll throw the ball into your court.
Could you restate the question?
Why did Outer Reach request the closure of the park versus you?
Well, they are hosting the event. The town of Millinocket's not hosting. the
Thank you.
event.
Any other council comment? Down to the public. Mr. Manager.
I noticed that this says the event is scheduled for April 8th, 2024. I'm wondering if we could offer to reschedule the event and give us a little more time.
I have been thoroughly amazed that every community now that pops up on television is waiting to get 30,000 people into their community. So my count so far is 210,000 people are coming to middle of state of Maine to watch an eclipse for 8 minutes.
8 minutes? This thing only lasts about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. But it just seems like every town is looking to get 30,000 people coming into their community.
It's a lot of people.
It is. All right. So, any other further comments from the council? Nothing from the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All righty. Councilor Pelletier, can I please have you read order 33-2024?
Certainly. Order number 33-2024, providing for closure of the town clerk and tax collector's offices on election days. Whereas it is common practice in other communities throughout the state of Maine for these offices to be closed on election days due to staffing and operational support. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approve the closure of the town clerks and tax collectors' offices on election days moving forward. Reporting data resulting from poll of Maine town clerks attached.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Pelletier, second by Councilor Danforth. Any council discussion on the order? Seeing none down the count, down, oh, Council Dumeay, I'm sorry.
I was initially not in favor of this order, but after speaking to the clerk's office, getting their kind of thoughts and feelings, because when I worked in the clerk's office, we seemed to manage that very well. After speaking to the clerk, I can see their point of view, so.
Just that you straight,
Any other council comment on the order? Down to the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right. Counselor Pelletier. Oh, I'm sorry, you just did. Counselor Dumeay, could you please read order 34-2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, order number 34-2024, providing for approval of the airport master plan. Whereas the multi-year combined effort between the town of Millinocket and Hoyle Tanner has come to completion, resulting in a highly detailed recommendation of reconstruction of the runways and other pieces of the airport's infrastructure, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council accepts and approves updated Millinocket Municipal Airport Master Plan as presented. Note, the engineered drawings and related documentation have been available in the town manager's office for review by members of the town council.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Dumeay, second by Counselor McGlaughlin. Council discussion on the order. Counselor Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to see about tabling this and getting, because basically what I'd like to say is reviewing the plans such as this is what I actually do, encounter in my job every day. In reviewing, I actually reviewed these plans for about an hour and a half on Friday. And honestly, it wasn't enough. That book is this thick. It's honestly not enough time to comprehend that plan. The council should be afforded the time and the material to be able to review that.
Sorry, Bob, but table has been brought to council. No discussion here. Table has been.
Are you, Counselor Higgins, are you making a motion to table?
Yes.
I'll
Mr.
second
Chair,
that.
I'd like to table the motion.
Okay.
Motion to table it for the next time, as long as we get copies of that material to be able to review.
Motion has been made to table the order by Counselor Higgins and seconded by Counselor Dumeay. We can't have any discussion. So I put it to a vote. All those in favor of tabling order number 2024?
Question, Counselor Higgins, was the airport manager at your review of the plan?
No, he was not.
And he was available. If you would have called him, you could have asked any questions that came to mind regarding the plan. So that is why I voted against tabling.
Any other council comment? Mr. Manager.
Can I ask that Jeff explain why it is mandatory for us to have an approved airport master plan by the
Certainly.
FAA?
Jeff, if you would come up, please.
Jeff Campbell, Airport Manager. These master plans are put in place by the FAA. They are required by the FAA to And I always laugh about this because it seems like we do an updated master plan, a 20-year plan every 10 years. So in the FAA's wisdom. So we've been working on this plan for, I don't know, what did we discuss? 3 years at least. And it was due to be finalized over a year ago. But we've had a lot of discussion about runway sizes and dimensions and what the FAA is going to fund. So the master plan is our 20-year guideline for projects moving forward. This document is something that's required by the FAA. Doesn't mean we have to do all the projects. Means we might do most of the projects. But it is something that the FAA requires so that we are eligible for the grants that we do receive, which amounts to 5 cents on the dollar for these millions of dollars of projects. That is the bottom line on this. And this particular vote tonight is only to authorize Peter to sign the document so that I can hand deliver them to the Maine DOT on the 29th. And this has been in the works for years, this particular document.
Counselor Demay. And Counselor Higgins.
You advising this council to, and I'm speaking for myself, this counselor, to make a decision on something that I have not seen and I have no information of, and I understand by this that it was afforded this week to be in the manager's office that I was not able to get to. I've just made arrangements with you prior to this meeting to meet with you. I'm not opposed to the document.
Right.
I'm just opposed to not making a vote on it, not educated.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
No,
I
no.
would like 2 more weeks to meet with you. So if this is that time sensitive, and I'm forced to vote on something that I have not much knowledge on, I think that's irresponsible of me to vote on.
Okay, and I respect that
So
completely.
that's the only reason why I seconded the tabling, is to allow myself, any other counselor, I don't know if there's any other council.
It-
And I understand the manager has allowed it to be in his office, and I understand that you're accommodating. I get all that.
And this is the first time that that's ever happened on a master plan in the 23 years that I've been at the airport. Never has it come down to this much scrutiny. The master plans are in place. They're all done through the engineering firm. They've been approved. You've already approved the funding and it's already been paid for, the whole 9 yards. We've done the whole thing. This is just an authorization to sign the document. This is the first time we've ever brought it to you for review because we thought that was a good thing to do. It's never been done in the past
Can I ask
that
one more
I'm
question?
aware of.
Go right ahead.
What's the time frame that you need this voted? Is it tonight? Like
Yes, 'cause
actually, tonight's
the
actual
plan,
night?
the plan was for me to hand deliver them when I head to the Public Advisory Committee meeting for the Maine DOT Aviation Plan for Maine on the 29th.
Thank you.
A week from tonight, I'm supposed to take those documents signed to the Director of Aviation for the state of Maine.
Counselor Higgins.
Yes, I'm not saying I disagree with the plan. I'm disagreeing with, I'd like further time to be able to ingest this material and instead of having to vote on it, just like the last time we had a vote on this, it had to be made right then. It was popped onto us and it had to be voted on right then. I like to look over the plan. This is what I do. I'm not against the plan. I want you to know that, but it wasn't ample enough time.
Yeah.
I asked to see if I could receive a copy, but I was told it was too big.
I don't have an electric copy until they're signed. As soon as the documents are signed, then we will have electronic documents. The paper documents, I only received them, I haven't had them a week yet myself. I brought them immediately down to Peter to get them on this meeting so that we could get it approved for him to sign the documents.
And Mr. Chair, I'm gonna have to abstain from voting on this map. Because, actually, no, we can take it to the vote.
Counselor Pelletier.
I'm glad you admitted you had time to get to review this and because of your own schedules did not do so. But this is a plan. It's not locking us into any particular project. Any part of this plan may never come to fruition. Depends on when those parts of the plan we tried to do, we'll be reviewing that part. The runway extension, everything, anything in the plan, it's just that, a plan. We will be able to authorize sections of it as we go along.
Counselor Danforth.
Yeah, I would, following up on Counselor Pelletier's comments that it is a plan. Just like our comprehensive plan, there's a lot of things in there that are a vision for our community and what we want to see here and to happen here. I know on my tenure of being on the council, I've had many conversations. I've visited the airport. I've seen this come to fruition. So I'm 100% behind it. I'm not concerned. I know his expertise around this. And like you said, it's something that the manager needs to sign off on, put in place. It's overdue. It's not putting us in jeopardy for anything. I'm proud of the work that's been done. I was able to see the document. I understand it couldn't be shared electronically. I did have time to hear more about it and visit in the manager's office. I know my schedule allows that to happen, but I have no concerns about having the manager sign this and this motion passed this evening. Thank you.
Any other council comment on this? Counselor McGlaughlin.
You know, I just want to say too, we got the email a week ago, and I know everybody's schedules are different, but I also had the opportunity to go down, even though the manager wasn't here, his office, we still have access to his office and the stuff. So I went down and I reviewed it, and I spoke with the airport manager on questions that I had. So I think if we make an effort, I mean, it's not like they've asked us to do it overnight. You can disagree with me, you cannot disagree with me, but I'm just saying that it's a plan that's been in place for years. This is nothing new. There's nothing secret, nothing hidden. So I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand what the big holdup is.
Mr. Chair, motion to debate.
Certainly.
There's stuff in, is there a time frame on that?
And debate, usually if I remember correctly through the charter, the debate is 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you for looking, Madam Clerk.
No, you can set a time frame. It can be 2 minutes, it can be 5. I understand what you're saying. But there are some new things in there. I mean, there were some questions, like I said, I wanted to be able to look at that document, make my notes, so I could address you or the town manager on those questions.
Sure.
I only had an hour and a half to review that document.
Mhm.
And like I said, that document is this long.
Yep.
Is that thick. That is 3 inches roughly. And I know half of that, and I actually sent an email to the whole council, to the manager requesting that. If it could be made available. So I was just wanted the ample time to be able to digest that and make my notes, because I mean, there's stuff in that report that talks about a solar farm, a hangar project. There's a lot of information that's in there that I believe most of the town's not aware of. So that's why I wanted the ample time for all of us to be able to review that document. I'm not saying I'm against it. Don't.
No, and I didn't
And I'm
take
not
it that
giving
way.
it controversy that way.
No.
Just there's a lot of information there to digest. And yes, there's some of the stuff that's in there doesn't. Yes, the report goes into endangered species and the whole 9 yards. So some of that, pictures of it, so I could review it, but
Anybody's throat. I want that to be perfectly clear. There's no way that oh my God, we got to get this done and just force it through. That's not the intention. But some of these things where grant funding is concerned, you wait, and then all of a sudden you gotta act on it. This has been a process that's been going on forever, and it just now came to where I need to get it signed to finish it, that's all. In no way meant to shove down anybody's throat or made for anybody to feel like they're not being informed or we're spending money that we shouldn't be spending or anything like that. These are all processes that that I go through on a daily basis. I'm doing 2 to 3 Zoom meetings a week right now, just on the design of the new runway, to make sure that we have what we need and that we can get the funding for what we need so that we can operate in a safe and attractive manner, so that we can attract the business that we're trying to attract. So counselors before you voted to have the master plan done. Counselors that came before, they voted for the funding. They vote, you know, and they trust the engineers that we hire, the aviation person that you have for the town, namely me, that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing to make this correct. And in no way should this be controversial, in my opinion. So I'm not trying to be confrontation at all, okay?
Councilor Dumeay.
Thank you, Jeff, and I don't take you as being controversial either, and that's not where I'm taking this.
Okay.
I appreciate Counselor Pelletier's comments. I do take exception to my availability from my work schedule, from working 8 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I know that's an opposition of what other counselors have on their work schedule, but mine is pretty booked.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can sneak over to the town office for 5-10 minutes at a time.
I wish
And
I wish we could have made time.
And that email was sent on the 15th, is now the 22nd. And we've had 2 days of weekend. So really, there's been 4 or 5 days of possibility
Yeah.
for this to work out.
Right.
For me, I can't speak for other councils that have other schedules.
I understand.
I'm just saying, thank you for making accommodations for meeting with. But what I would be doing is voting blindly with faith and trust the other counselors and not doing my own diligence. And I'm not comfortable. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not speaking ill of the manager or his fault, and there's nobody's fault. It's just my inability to research it myself, and I would feel comfortable voting on it after that. It's probably fine, but I haven't put my eyes and ears on it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilor Pelletier.
It's a rebuttal, seen as this is a debate. The 2 items Counselor Higgins mentioned, the hangar proposals for leasing, and what was the other thing?
The solar farm.
Solar farm. Those have been discussed in public meetings here in the past. Been brought up before. No surprise.
Councilor Mackey, do you want to weigh in on this? As you're the only
No,
counselor who hasn't so
Because
far?
I have not seen any of this. I've not been able to come down and see any of it. And I just don't feel comfortable voting on something that I haven't seen.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to weigh in on this.
Exactly.
Councilor McGowan.
I just want to, I mean, I want to apologize if I offended anybody, because that certainly was not my intention. I know that I'm very fortunate to have a schedule that does allow me more time. And so I apologize. I in no way meant to insinuate that. Sometimes when I try to explain things, the words don't come out quite the way I want. So I apologize. I didn't make anybody, I understand what you're saying. I guess my point was, and it goes along with what the airport manager had said, you know, he is the expertise, the engineers of the expertise. And yeah, I review that stuff, but I am not, I can't understand every little detail of it. So I'm trusting their knowledge and their experience with this plan. And that's where I was going with that.
Thank you. Did you have something? Okay. All right, Councilor Higgins.
Yes, one thing I'd like to note, Mr. Chair, is my motion was not absurd, and I would like an apology, please.
Yes. certainly, in this case, I cannot ask, or I can ask, but I cannot tell the manager or any other counselor to apologize for something. But it is noted that, you know, a statement was made and that it was not contracted, so, and I don't pretend to try to apologize for actions of the manager or any other counselor. As being chair, that is not my responsibility. But it is duly noted that you have asked for it, that, and that's the best that can be done, I guess, considering the course of time. Yeah. Seeing that this is, Jeff, thank you very much. Seeing that this is, we seem to be at an impasse with this, and there is a motion on the floor for this. I am going to call for the vote. All those in favor of order? Yeah, she called for the vote. Once the vote is called, that is where it stops. And the vote has been called. So on the order 34-2024, all those in favor? In favor of accepting and passing the order? Yes, the table failed. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? 3. The order passes 4-3. Councillor Danforth, can I please get you to read order 35-2024?
Order number 35-2024, providing for approval of funding for completion of elevator modernization. Whereas the town of Millinocket must modernize its municipal building elevator stemming from ages of wear and tear as it is necessary for the operation of the building for their own uses and that of the tenants. And whereas since the original quote, the cost of the project has increased by $11,400 to $118,600, and other funding sources toward the project include $32,000 from the town of Millinocket's opera funds, $49,999 for Penobscot County Commissioner's Grant, $25,000 expected with new court lease. And whereas an updated lease agreement with the court is in progress but yet to be completed, and time is of the essence to have this work scheduled and completed, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves an additional $37,000 to be allocated to the elevator modernization project from the unassigned fund balance for the work to be completed. Note, the $25,000 from the court is still likely to be attainable and be received toward the overall cost of the project. The difference in the town's expense will be an increase of about $11,400.
Second.
Motion made by Councillor Danforth, second by Councillor Dumeay. Any council discussion on the order? I'd like to go ahead and make a point to, this is going to be a modernization of the elevator and not a complete replacement. Any discussion from the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Reports and communications. Warrant Committee for the March 14th, 2024 council meeting will be Councillor Dumeay and Councillor Higgins. Are we all set, gentlemen? Thank you. Chair Committee reports. Councillor Pelletier.
Given the short-term rental zoning change report from the lawyer due in July, I suspect we will not meet till sometime in August,
Really?
unless they can work on, chew and walk at the same time
Okay,
and do both things, but I haven't heard any updates from the lawyers.
Okay.
Work on our requests.
very good. Councillor Danforth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make mention the Katahdin Snowdown that happened on Sunday at our rec complex was very successful, and thankful for all the town departments that assisted in that event. We have some pictures that are started to be posted. We'll post more, but I'm just
please name and address, and please approach the council as a whole. Do we have anybody to come up? Seeing no one, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Council Dumeay, second by Council Danforth. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you all.